Today's session is, drum roll, how to talk about ourselves. Ooh, yeah.
That's a
And of
that's a
course,
good one because until now, just following what we did, I'm going so small. Like, oh, who are you? I'm just Ruthie. I'm a designer, so I could be here, and that would be a very interesting challenge.
so let's understand for a second in what situations we want to talk about ourselves. And if we think about it, there are really two situations that we want to talk about ourselves. One is when we need something. Remember that I need sign that we put aside at the beginning with our pitch and what we need, etc. And we said we're going to discuss it. So we're going to discuss it today. And the other is when we want to share something for bonding. Okay. I'm not talking about situations where you go to the hairdresser and you want to talk and blub and share your life. We're talking about business and small talk. So let's address the first situation. The first situation is when you really need something and you want to say what you need. So the rule is you just go to the person that you know or about to know and you flat out put it up there and say what you need. No small talk before that, like what's the weather, which we don't do anyway. No compliments before. No 10 minutes of how are you? How are the kids? We skip all that because it would look like as a manipulation or a backdoor and wasting 10 minutes to get to the point of what you need to just get to the point. Okay, so let's do one example. So let's say you really need something from your boss. Let's say you need from your boss is to extend a deadline that you were given. And you know your boss is going to be really pissed off, but you need an extension on your deadline. Happens all the time, by the way. So you see your boss walking down the hall. What do? Spoiler, a challenging one.
I
Applying the rule that we just talked about.
Yeah, I would just nod as a start to see if they're able to actually hear me at the moment. And if I see that there is a little bit of availability, I'd say, okay, I need 30 seconds of your time. That and that deadline, not going to make it, but I have a solution. One, two, three. It's going to take another day or two. Is that okay? Or should we schedule a time to talk about it?
Perfect. Okay. Perfect. We just want to finesse it a bit. Okay. So if your boss is walking down, you nod, you see, you listen, which is to see if they're paying attention. You come up, you exactly say, I need more time and I have a solution, which is perfect. You didn't just drop it. I just need more time. This is exactly what we want to do. But we want to do it in stages because when you ask for something like a deadline extension, it probably has an impact on other things. So you probably, if you see your boss, you don't just tell them in the hall. You would say, boss, you have 30 seconds. I just have to tell you something. And if they say yes, you need to see that they're listening. Why? Because now we need to talk about ourselves, right? So we want to have that time where the other person is listening. And then we can say, okay, I'm sorry. I need more time because A, B, C, and D, but I have a solution. Is that okay? Right? So the rule is we say what we need when the other person is listening and we keep it short and we explain why. We don't want to go around. As much as it's difficult and as much as it's sometimes inconvenient, and this is what we're learning to do, this is the proper way to do. Why does it fit into the small talk world? It's because many times people would take 10 minutes to talk about things that are unrelated to kind of soften the environment in one way or another to get to what they need. And we want to say, you're just wasting 10 minutes. There is something that you need, just say it. Okay. If we up this game, let's say you are in a conference, okay, and you meet somebody that could be potentially a client of yours or a potential investor of yours. The same rule that we just applied would work there as well. So what do I mean by that? Let's say that you see somebody who you don't know that could be your potential investor and client. You can come up to them and say, hi, I read about you so much because I really hope one day you'll be my investor. When would be a good time for me to pitch you my idea? And this is very much not in, this is nonconformist, what I'm saying right now,
Okay.
right? Because people would say, hey, I'm not going to approach like a potential client and say, I'm going to play a game with them and all these strategies and sale and all of
Mm.
this. But what I found works if you come up to somebody and you're very authentic, you're not needy, you're authentic, and you come up to somebody and say, hey, you are such and such. I followed your blog. I follow what you do. You are precisely the type of investor, precisely the type of client that I'm looking for. I was hoping to get your attention for 5 minutes. That authenticity works in most cases. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell from the other side, I do not like sales, so I try to never do that. But as a person who, buying stuff, and then a lot of software, and I like to try software, so I get to have a lot of conversations with salespeople and SaaS companies. Um, yes, I could say for sure that products that I bought and products that I at least went further in the process with definitely were people that were a lot more authentic behind and like would not just try to sell me on something, but just like genuinely connect and try to figure out if it works or not. So yeah, from my side, I can attest that it worked on me. So it
Right.
might work on everybody else too.
Well, I'm not saying, okay, I have to say this is not a sales strategy. I'm not laying out a sales strategy here. I'm just saying if you happen to pick a specific person or you need something very specific, you might as well do it directly and it works better in most cases. That's the idea. So now we're going to tap into the other situation where we want to share something because we're just small talking, right? And we want to get meaningful connections very fast. We don't want to waste time on something that is not important. So we find ourselves in situations somebody asks you, how are you? How was your weekend? How was your trip? How was your day? And we want to share part of us. So how do we do this? The idea is to pick something specific that you did that you think that would be interesting to the other person and share that specific nugget. For example, if somebody asks you, how was your weekend? And you don't want to go, oh, it was good, it was great, because we didn't really share anything. We want to say, something very specific that we did that would be interesting to the other person. So over the weekend, maybe you went to IKEA because IKEA had a big sale. And you're talking to me and you can say, we went to IKEA, they had a knockout. It was like 80%, sale on whatever it is. That would be interesting to me. Maybe I want to buy stuff in IKEA too. It could be Macy's, like whatever it is, right? It's a piece of information that I may find useful. Maybe you went to a specific restaurant, a new restaurant that opened up, and you want to tell me, that new Mexican restaurant on 58th, they have a new chef. We tried out. It was great. It wasn't great. Okay. So what is happening is you are sharing something very specific about your life, and I'm learning about it while you're educating me as well. Okay. So it could be endless thing. It could be a new recipe that you tried, maybe a movie that you saw. Maybe you tried a new game. You like to test software. You can tell me I was at home. I didn't do much because I was testing this new software. Like, yeah, what type of software? And you would share it with me. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I like
Okay.
that.
So let's try it. This is Monday morning. I'm your colleague. I'm passing down the hall or in Zoom. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was great. I finally get to finish all of the tax work and I'm ready to file. It's early on, and this is the first year I'm this early ready, and I'm just so excited to have this behind me.
Oh, good, good. So I learned that you do things before they're due.
And a reminder that you also need to kind of like start thinking about doing your taxes.
Yep, that's true too. Let's do another one where you think for a minute what would interest me as well as something that I would say, oh my God, I need that too. Okay, this is the reaction that we're looking to get. So if you think about it, every time you do something, and I know people think they don't do interesting things, but I'm telling you, you do. You found a new game for your kids. Okay, it's interesting. If you saw a new movie, if you read an article, anything that you did that I can learn about in one sentence, it would be incredible.
Idea. Let me try and think back. All right. I just discovered something called 528 megahertz music. It is so calming. So I kind of just try to listen to it at least once a day for like 30 minutes because it's just grounding and it's helping, with all the stress that we live in 2025. This is kind of a real cool grounding technique that all you need is just to listen to this music. Um,
Where'd you,
how was your
how'd
weekend?
you, how'd you discover this? I mean, where's this coming from?
I wanna say social media, cause I think they targeted me for something, and then I found it on Spotify. You just, like, put in 528, it will just come up with a whole bunch of stuff, and it's really good. Minus the mu like, in the middle, if you have free Spotify like me, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Home Depot," like, screaming at ads at you in the middle of this calmness, but other than that, it's really amazing.
Perfect. You see, this was perfect because I learned something about you and you just educated me about calming music and we can have a whole talk about this. And this is all happening in 1 minute, right? So let's make a list. It could be something that you discovered on YouTube. It could be something that you read. It could be a software that you tested. It could be a sale, a shoe sale somewhere. It could be a new game, a new video game. It could be a person you met. We all do all of these things all the time. We just don't see how significant they are in our lives, right? The idea is to pick one specific, not speak generally, one specific thing that you did and share. So let's do one more. Okay. So how was your week, Ruthie?
Ah, 1 second, I need a second to think.
While you're thinking the second, what I want you to do, whoever is watching this now, I want you to make a list of things that you do on a regular basis because we are not trained to remember all the things that we do anyway. And we are bombarded with information, right? So we constantly learn new things. If we learn something from YouTube, if we learn something from a TED Talk, if we read something, if we saw a sale, if we bought something interesting, just write down what you just encountered in the past week, and you would see how many things you can share. Okay. So go ahead.
It's great. I got to test this really cool AI software.
You tell.
It's super beta. It's a really cool place where you can gather feedback from users in a really large scale over text messages that are basically using AI. So imagine this, like it's kind of trying to mimic us going to talk to a whole bunch of users. but it's texting. If I go on having a user interview, I have my questions, but whatever they're telling me, I'm kind of gonna keep going with that, and might give up on one or two questions. Same thing happens over text. So cool. And the ability to gather information and also have AI summarize it for you. It's just wow. Gonna save me so much time.
Well, what now the conversation got to be so interesting, right? Because not only you told me what you did this weekend, but you educated me on something so cool. Okay. And we do cool things all the time, really. And now with the I mean, when my best friend calls me, the first thing I tell her, "Oh my God, I just found another website, the AI that kind of does your face really nice and your makeup." She's like, "Show me, show me, show me, show me that." Right? And
Send me the link.
yeah, exactly. So we love playing with stupid things. Not everything that we share must be the next, Mars spaceship. Even when you share things like, I just tried the easiest recipe. It took me 5 minutes and I got the best pasta. Even that is interesting to me because it's not only us. It would be so much, fun to share this information with others. And when we share it with others, we learn it better, right? Um, Weekend, week, trip, how was my day? No matter what the question is, even if the question is, why did you pick your profession? It doesn't matter what the question is. You think about something specific that you did and you reverted back so you share your knowledge. So let's try one more and see if you can do it in a sentence or two. Let's say you're coming back from a vacation. Let's say that you went to pick somewhere hot right now.
Cancun.
Cancun. Okay. And I would ask you, "Hey, Rudy, how was your vacation?" And I'm at work, it's a Monday. Everybody is busy. The situation is like, I'm being polite to you. And you can say, most of the time it was great, thank you, and just move on. But let's say it's somebody that you really want to dedicate a minute to, and you can say, so I'm asking you, "Hi, Rudy, how was your vacation? You're so tanned," right? Uh, So, uh, pick something that it could be anything that you choose to say, like, "Oh my God, we ate so much." They have all these specific dishes, right? I need to let go of food for a decade now, but let's try it. So, how was your vacation?
Oh, it was great. I found 5 amazing restaurants, and we ate way too much, and if you are planning on going, I have the list, and you have to try every single one of them and tell me how it was.
Perfect. How nice was this? Right? And same thing goes for any question. Now, here is the question. But Emma, what if I didn't do anything interesting? What if I can't do any, what if I can't tell of a specific? It doesn't come to mind. Somebody tells me what you do this weekend, and I just stared at the ceiling the whole weekend, right? So,
Which
in
is an awesome thing, I have to say. At some age, you get to the point when they ask you, "What did you do this weekend?" And you say, "Nothing." With a huge smile, and that's totally okay. We have to normalize this.
yep,
Sorry, I had to say.
yeah, you're absolutely right. By the way, I agree. Nothing. It leaves the other person like, oh, okay. But it's a perfect thing to do nothing. It's actually challenging to do nothing.
True.
So if you cannot come up with anything in particular that you can think of, the idea is to keep the sentence light and short and revert back to the person. So, for example, what do I mean by light and short? Um, Ruthie, how was your weekend? Let's say that you have, making this up. So let's say you have two kids, 2 and 4, and those are crazy ages. And it was snowing all weekend. And you
Oh
can, and
my
you're like, what did I do? I was looking for a window to climb through because I was stuck at home with 2 kids. Okay. All weekend we couldn't come up because of, the minus 12 degrees and the snow and everything. Any suggestions of what I can do? Right. Um, Same thing goes for doing nothing. I mean, oh my God, I did absolutely nothing. I stared at the wall. I felt like staring at a wall. You have any suggestions? Right. So what we want to do is if we don't come up with anything particular, we keep it light mode. We keep it funny. We want to keep it short. Now, here's the reason why. People have the tendency to talk about what they did this weekend for a while. And we all know when you just ask somebody, how was your weekend? And they're like, oh, and we went to this store and we went to that place. And then it's like an ongoing monologue. And,
Yeah. And like, I'm always dreading I don't want to be that person. So I'm like, great. But
and we lose attention very quickly because nobody really cares about how long you drove to where and what happened in that store, right? We don't. We care about you as a person, right? And we care about keeping things small, fast, and to the point. That's the whole idea of small talk. So either share something that would be great or keep it small and light, and if you can, funny. Does that make any sense?
yes, I like that.
Okay. So
I wish everybody would listen to this course and follow this.
yeah, the idea is to make the best out of small talk. We don't want to talk about things at work that take 10 minutes and get nobody nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. So let's do a short recap to understand what happened today. Any questions?
No, I think I'm gonna start, like you said, uh, kind of just like writing down some anecdotes and things that I think could be like a good thing to talk about. I am gonna have a running note in my phone and just use it, before I go to networking event, before I go to work, before I anticipate, just have it like, oh, I could talk about this, and this. Okay, cool. Um, which I would have thought it's embarrassing to do, but now I actually think it's a great idea. So
Yes, because we all do things that are interesting. Did we all do something, at least one thing, at least? We want to learn how to share it. And if the other person, like me, when you were talking about this AI and messaging and stuff, and it was so interesting, then the other person would tell you, show me, or tell me, right? And then you dive into this conversation. So
sounds good.
your mission, should you choose to accept it, is for this week, share. Share some things about yourself, and we'll see how it goes next time.
Good.
Okay. Until next week.